Hello and welcome to Holistic Hitting, the podcast, episode 14. I believe this is the missing episode. We had a little skippage from one episode to the next, and so this is me catching up or renumbering. Heck, I didn't even check before I started filming this, so it could be 18 for all I know. I'm pretty sure it's 14. We're going to call this one When Life Interrupts the Plan. Okay, it's been about 4 weeks since I've sat down and done one of these. I've been very quiet, and that's just because life has interrupted my plan. It's not my plan to not be on one of these and not to be doing these podcasts. I've gotten some great feedback. I have some parents that it's impacting, and I don't go by views. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many they have or how many they don't have. I don't really check. I know that if it's impacting one person, then it's worth doing. And so I apologize for being quiet. But again, life has kind of interrupted my plan. And for those of you who don't know, our son Isaiah, who's a professional baseball player, was in the Northwest League and on the road playing for Eugene and got hit in the face with a fastball, suffered multiple facial fractures, rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. We're watching on TV. Obviously parents' kind of worst nightmare. And so there's been trips. My wife was out there helping him. I was out there for a bit transporting him. He is rehabbing in Arizona. He is cleared for baseball activities. It's a miracle that his eye and his face and everything is healing wonderfully, and we're so thankful, for his healing and his progress and him getting back to be able to do what he loves to do and us being able to watch him do what he loves to do. There's really nothing better as a parent. Obviously, there'll be some anxiousness, I'm sure, from all of us when he gets back out there. But just the joy to see him back on the field will be amazing. So, when life interrupts the plan, you see, in part one of this is you see who shows up, and you also see who doesn't. Quite frankly, I could tell who cared and who still cares by the text and the messages and the outpouring of concern. My group text from NC State baseball, 35-year-old relationships, right? My group text from Miami Killian High School baseball, 35-plus-year-old relationships. Some of those are 40, 45-year-old relationships from when we were kids, and we're all, checking on each other. It's pretty powerful. Adversity affects relationships. And there are people who don't want to dive into pain. And there are people who will dive right into pain, right? And so you see when you get into adverse situations, who's ready to dive in with you and who doesn't want to dive in with you. And and hey, either way is good. The outpouring was amazing. Who we heard from, major league managers, major league general managers, old friends, new friends. Obviously, there wasn't, a lot of stuff about it on social media. Not a big deal. Didn't want to make it a big deal. Obviously, it was a very tragic thing for our family. But internally, it was really amazing to see the love and support from all of our friends, family, and baseball family as well. Still, I get calls. How's Isaiah doing? How's he feeling? The answer is he's going to be back on the field really, really soon. But, life, through adversity in life, it has a funny way of showing you who is actually in your corner and who is not. And so that was a cool lesson to learn. There was some amazing blessings in Isaiah's injury that we were able to pull out. Just that, being able to feel support and love from so many people, but then being very disappointed in how some people in leadership in certain positions throughout baseball, I was just thought that didn't handle it great and could have handled it a lot better. And I let those people know those concerns directly or indirectly. But the game has changed. The game used to be run by baseball people who played it at a high level, who cared about each other. Now the game is really run by people who basically probably most of them couldn't play catch, or if they did, they never played at a high level. They didn't play professional baseball, so they don't quite empathize with the players as much as those who used to run the game. At least that's my feeling and sense. So when there's nasty injuries, the care and concern is there from some, especially the ones who've been in the game for a long time. But some people just think of players as numbers and not as actual humans. And, that's how the game is now. That's the industry. I think that's a problem. But, that's just, I'm not going to sit here and argue that away. It's not going anywhere. The game is run how the game is run. And the people who care, and the people who don't. And you can't make those care who don't care. It's just that simple. And it's just sad. So when you get into these type of situations, and again, when you're teaching mental skills to people, what happens in life, you got to use what you're preaching, right? You got to practice what you preach. And so when you get in these situations of adversity in life, the quickest reset wins. Even from the time of Isaiah getting hit and us wondering, are we going to be flying to Seattle to drive a car to go to Everett to go to a surgery in the middle of the night, because that was a possibility when it first happened. Is this like, I got to reset and be able to execute to get there and get there for our son. We were, going through something very adverse, very traumatic, but yet you got to be able to reset, and you have to be able to lock in moments that need you to make decisions and need you to push forward. And now, it doesn't mean that you can't feel certain things, and I was feeling all those things and expressing those feelings and have for weeks now. But at the same time, you have to be able to keep yourself calm to be able to make decisions so that you're able to move forward. Because if not, fear, pain, anxiety will just keep you in chains and keep you locked up. And that doesn't do anyone any good at all, especially if you're trying to perform, right? And in the performance business, if you're a high school athlete, if you're a college athlete, a professional athlete watching this, or even a young amateur travel ball athlete, the game isn't easy. And if you can't reset and you don't have a way to reset yourself mentally during adversity, after adversity, in between adversities, then you're lacking a technique and skill that you're going to need to get you to a higher level. It's just that simple. If you're going to play in high school baseball in this day and age, especially where I live in Central Florida, if you're going to play college baseball in any basically situation these days, it's so competitive, so aggressive, the transfer portal, et cetera, NIL money. If you're going to play in that era, if you're going to play professional baseball the way that people are evaluated and how it's done these days, it is a stressful, anxious world, right? And we have social media, which is ruling all of it. And if we don't have ways to lock ourselves in and reset, there's no way that we can perform. It's not going to happen, right? So we have to be able to understand some mental skills and techniques. And during this time, I had to practice what I preached, like I said earlier. I had to be able to take breaths. I had to have some focal points in my house or around me in the cage. I had to be able to think positive thoughts. I had to be able to think of tasks to help to be able to move this situation forward. What needs to happen next? What is the best thing for our son at this moment in his injury, right? And are we working together with everyone to get this worked out? So we had to make all those decisions, and we had to lock in. And the mental skills that I'm able to preach, I worked hard at as a player and as a manager, as a coach for a long period of time, and we're able to implement some of those in those situations. So adversity is coming, right? Who's going to be in your corner? Who do you surround yourself with? That's kind of lesson one. Like, who is your inner circle? Who's going to be there for you when there is adversity? Who really cares? And I think that it's important in life to figure that out. And it's also important to know who doesn't, so that you don't, have false hope to count on people who really don't think that highly or care enough to have concern when you're in some sort of injury situation. So again, lesson two is how quickly can you reset in these situations? How quickly can, you don't pretend it didn't happen. It just means you're going to decide what to do next. You're just going to move forward to the next step. It doesn't mean that you're not having feelings. It means that you have to be able to take a breath, have a focal point, reset, positive self-talk to get to the next task, because that way you're not locked up. All right, and the third part of when life interrupts the plan is kind of where all my athletes are right now. And that's school starting. Your plan all summer was playing summer ball and chilling and doing your thing, right? Pro guys, the season's ending, right? You're starting to wind down, playoff time. College players, you're getting ready to get into the fall. You're starting your individual workouts. How's your plan? Do you have a plan this fall to get better? High school players, the fall is the time to really invest in your game and grow and get better. All right. My remote training program can help you. The Core 5 at the least can help you, but you have to understand how you're moving. You have to understand how you're approaching your at-bats and your work, and you have to understand your mental game and be able to reset through adversity, because in a high school season, a college season, a walk of every day of life, there's going to be adversity that you're going to have to work through. And if you're not prepared to deal with that adversity, then this game, for example, is really not a great one to play for you, because this is 7 out of 10 times you're feeling adversity, and that affects the way you feel about yourself. I work with players at the highest level, and they feel the disappointment just like you do when you fail, and that's even when you're good at the game, right? And so how do you deal with that failure when there's more than just the outs? There's more than just the self-doubt. There's other stuff. There's injuries. There's pain. There's family issues. These are all very real things that happen in life and in baseball, and they take real skills to deal with. And if you're going to play college baseball, you're going to play pro baseball, you want to play high school baseball, heck, even these days you want to play these travel tournaments, you better have some mental reset capabilities. And then obviously you have to have really good mechanics and an approach, and have to be able to implement all those things in an offensive game and deal with the failure all at the same time. So just to recap before I hop off, life can interrupt the plan, but the plan has to keep moving, right? And so what do you need? You need a good support network to help push you through those times and be with you through those times. That could be one person, it could be a group of many, or anywhere in between. You need to be able to reset quickly, deal with your emotions, feel your emotions, express your emotions, and then get to the next play, get to the next pitch, get to the next task. And then lastly, you have to start developing a plan and start implementing that, because life is happening for baseball players. All right? The fall is here. It's time to improve. It's time to add to your game. What are you missing? If you're missing something on the offensive side or the mental side or the approach side, send us a message. We can get you connected, get you set up, get you on a call, and see if it's a fit to work in the program. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We have so many sponsors and people to thank. Sclafani Recruiting Service is a big sponsor. The Exit Velo Pro as well of the podcast. I got to name our people before we sign off here. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.